Hey man, let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever looked around, looked at your life, your career, your home, your achievements, and thought, why doesn't this feel like it's enough? You're doing everything that a man is supposed to do. You're carrying the weight, you're providing, you're showing up, you're reliable. And yet there's this quiet tension inside that says, there's something more, and I'm missing it. If you felt that, you're not broken. You're not failing. You're simply waking up. You feel the call to be a man set apart for God, disciplined, refined, and ready to lead. This podcast will form that man in you. Welcome to the Sacred Gentleman. And before we dive deeper, let me ask you one thing. If anything I've said already speaks to where you are, if it feels like I'm putting words to the things that you've been carrying quietly, if you feel seen in any way, then do me a favor. Like this episode, subscribe to the channel, share it with another man who needs it. Ring that bell if you're on YouTube so you don't miss what's coming next. Not because I need the numbers, not because of a silly algorithm, but because if I've earned even a small part of your trust, then let's keep walking this road together. Let me tell you how this unfolded for me. And maybe, just maybe, you'll hear some of your own story in this. My awakening didn't arrive. It didn't arrive in a dramatic collapse or a rock bottom moment. Don't get me wrong. I've had some of those moments, those collapses, those rock bottom moments. But this awakening didn't come directly from those. They were a part of the awakening, but not the sole reason for the awakening or the sole point in time. It came much slowly. It came quietly. It came through little shifts that didn't really seem important at the time until I realized that everything was changing. For me, the final shift, it began when I finally took ownership of my life. And I mean, really took ownership. While I was still with the last company I was with, we were doing workshops with Jocko Willink and the entire Echelon front team. Fantastic people. And brother, I sat in those rooms and I would listen to Jocko. I would binge his podcasts and I would hear him talk about extreme ownership while standing in front of me. As when I was listening to him on these podcasts, he would talk about extreme ownership, discipline, and leadership. And something deep down inside of me absolutely fired up because I knew I wasn't living that way, not fully, not with the level of integrity that I pretended to have. So I started applying it, not perfectly, but consistently. I built structures. I stopped negotiating with myself. I took responsibility for everything that I could within my world. And I kept on showing up even when I didn't feel like it. And little by little, the weight came off, physical weight as well, 80 pounds gone. Because I willed it so. And on the outside, I looked like I was finally becoming the man that I always wanted to see in the mirror. But here's what I didn't expect. That there were parts of me that were still asleep. Parts no workshop could ever touch. Parts discipline alone couldn't fix. But that fire inside of me, it didn't stop. In fact, the deeper that I leaned into this discipline, the hungrier I became for something bigger than just my own transformation. I knew I needed to be around other men who were rising as well. Men who pushed each other, who challenged each other, who refused to settle. So I joined this powerful masculinity movement called the Order of Man, led by Ryan Michler. Inside that movement was a smaller, tighter brotherhood called the Iron Council. And man, that place was the inner sanctum. Men committed to becoming better husbands, better fathers, and better leaders. I dove in with everything that I had. Engaged. I sharpened myself. I got sharpened by others. And I took on leadership roles. I led teams. I mentored other men who were walking the same path I was once walking alone. And I felt alive in a way I hadn't felt probably ever before in my life, at least not for a long time. And then something unexpected happened. Ryan Michler, the owner of this organization, he reached out to me. He saw the growth that I had. He saw the discipline, and he saw a hunger in me, the same hunger I know you feel. And he invited me to step inside this order of man movement, not casually, not part-time, but as the chief operating officer. That was an incredible responsibility, an incredible experience. Suddenly, I was in the center of this inner sanctum at the highest level, helping to lead one of the largest men's movements in the world, a place where men came to sharpen each other, to rise, to build, and to lead. And for a season, it felt like exactly where I was meant to be. But even in that place, surrounded by growth, surrounded by brotherhood, something inside me started to shift again. It felt like I had reached the end of that road, not because anyone pushed me out, but because God was closing a chapter. I had hit the finish line within that organization. But personally, I didn't feel like I was finished. Have you ever felt that? Everyone else, they see you winning. I was doing well at work. I was doing well at this Iron Council. I was doing well everywhere. Things were getting better in my life. There's no doubt about it. And everyone saw that winning. But deep down inside, I had this whisper, this isn't it. There's more. So I left. And I told myself I was leaving to focus on my family, to build my own path, to be present with the people who mattered most to me. And all of that was true, but it wasn't the whole truth. The deeper truth was this, guys. I was being summoned. I was being called, not by my own ambition, not by my own ego, not by opportunity, but by God himself. A whisper inside of me that was saying, son, you need to rise. I'm not finished with you yet. And I'm going to tell you, to this day, I don't know exactly where this road is leading. I don't know what rising means for my life. I didn't know what it meant at that time, and the time that I left my full-time job. And right now, I don't fully know. I only knew I couldn't stay where I was, and he made that clear. And maybe that's exactly where you find yourself right now. I need you to hear this with your entire heart, with your whole heart. I'm not showing up here as a man who has mastered everything. I'm not someone above you. I'm someone beside you. A man who knows the feeling of lying in bed at night wondering, is this really all there is? Why am I still restless inside? Why do I feel disconnected when it feels like I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do? I've been that guy who was admired at work, but misunderstood at home. The man who can solve every problem for everyone else, but feels powerless to fix what's happening inside his own soul. The man who looks strong, sounds strong, and acts strong, but feels an ache he can't even explain. Brother, if that's where you are today, you're not weak. You're not failing, and you're definitely not alone. What you're feeling is not a breakdown. It's a summoning, a calling. It's the beginning of your masculine reformation. Every man, and I mean every man, eventually comes to a crossroads. Most just choose to ignore it. And I'm not talking about a career crossroads. I'm not talking about a financial crossroad, not even a marriage crossroad. Those are all surface level. I'm talking about the crossroad of your soul. On one side stands the man you've always been, predictable, disciplined, responsible, functional, familiar. He's the version of you that the world has affirmed, the version of you that people trust, the version of you that has kept life moving forward. But he's also that version of you that is slowly fading, slowly dying out, slowly becoming hollow. And on the other side is the man that you're being called to become, spiritually anchored, emotionally present, mentally sharp, physically disciplined, relationally grounded, a leader in your home, a pillar for your family, a man who walks in God's purpose. This man, the called man, is dangerous in holy ways, a protector, a provider, a priest in his home, a creator of legacy. And brother, stepping into that requires a different type of courage, not the courage to grind, hustle, or endure. You already know how to do that. This requires the courage to let go, to surrender, to look inward, to let God break open the parts of you that you keep hidden, to stop performing and start becoming. This awakening, it's not your finish line. Awakening is your invitation. It's God whispering that you've outgrown the man you've been. He's inviting you to come closer, to draw deeper, and to rise. But let me tell you something that I see in so many men. They look back on their life and they believe that they've missed it. They believe that they missed their calling, their purpose, their chance. They say things like, it's too late. I should have started sooner. I wasted too many years. Brother, that's a lie from the pit of hell. If you're still breathing, God is not done with you, not even close. You didn't miss your calling. You have been preparing for it. Every step, the wins, the losses, the detours, the heartbreaks, the delays, the mistakes have all been shaping you into the man capable of carrying what's coming next. God does not operate on your timeline. He operates through your transformation. And if you feel that pull right now, if you feel that stir, it's something inside of you waking up. That's not evidence that you're late. It's evidence that now is the time you were created for. Brother, God is not finished with you. He's just getting started. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. Psalm 139, verse 23. Brother, this prayer is not passive. It's not soft. It's a warrior's prayer. When David prayed this, he wasn't saying, God, look at me and see if I'm behaving. No, he was saying, God, reveal the parts of me I cannot see. Expose what I've avoided. Show me what needs to rise and what needs to die. That takes a level of courage that most men never step into. And here's the hard truth. It's easier to build muscles than it is to break patterns. It's easier to lead a team than to lead your own heart. It's easier to grind at work than to sit in silence with God. It's easier to manage crisis, but deep masculine formation, the kind that shapes husbands, fathers, leaders, and legacy builders, that doesn't happen through comfort. It happens through clarity, through revelation, through truth. And the sacred gentleman isn't just a man who performs well. He's a man who's willing to be searched because he knows this. God never reveals to condemn. He reveals to restore. He reveals to strengthen. He reveals to prepare. He reveals to free you from the parts of yourself that have been controlling you. Real masculinity isn't about being invincible. It's about being fully known by God so that you can become fully who He created you to be. Let's talk about how you put this into practice in a real, tangible, daily way. Not a ritual, not a performance, not a checklist. What I'm talking about is a moment of honest alignment. So here's what I want you to do. Tonight or first thing directly in the morning, I want you to find 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking for is 5 minutes, just 5. And I want you to sit somewhere still. It might be in your truck in the driveway before you head to work. It might be on the side of your bed with the house that's still asleep, in your office before the day begins, or even the living room after everyone has gone to bed. And I want you to say this simple prayer or something like it. Father, where am I still asleep today? Where would you like me to awaken? And then stop. Don't say any more. Don't rush. Don't analyze. Don't try and make it sound holy. Don't try to do it right. Say simple words. Ask for that clarity. And then just listen and let the quiet do its work. We always hear about God as that still small voice. If you can't be quiet, you're not going to hear it. And the first thing that starts stirring in your heart, it's not random. That's the Father revealing where He wants to awaken you. And brother, this is important. I want you to do this every day until you hear Him. Actually, just keep on doing it after that, but at least do it until you hear His voice. And here's the reality. Your schedule is loud. Your responsibilities are loud. Your marriage, your kids, your work, all loud. The world screams, God whispers, and only a disciplined man, a determined man, a sacred gentleman in formation will quiet himself long enough to hear that whisper. This practice, 5 quiet minutes, can be where clarity begins. Clarity leads to conviction. Conviction leads to courage. Courage leads to change, and change leads to purpose. This is how transformation starts. Brother, please hear this. You were never meant to walk alone. Strong men isolate. Wounded men, they isolate. Distracted men isolate. Proud men isolate. But isolation is the devil's oldest tactic. If he can get you alone, he can get you confused. If he can get you alone, he can get you tired. If he can get you alone, he can get you believing lies about yourself. The calling, the awakening is holy, but doing it alone is dangerous. This is why brotherhood matters. This is why community matters. This is why masculine formation is not a solo sport. Every man who ever rose into his calling rose with brothers beside him. So stay close to the men in your life. Stay connected. Stay listening. And when you feel that whisper in your chest, that pull, that stirring, that sense that God is calling you deeper, step fully into the sacred path, because there are men walking this journey with you. Men who refuse to settle. Men who refuse to hide. Men who refuse to live asleep. This is your signal that you don't have to rise alone. Before we close, hear this in the deepest part of your soul. Man, you are not behind. You are not disqualified. You are not damaged goods. You're not too far gone. You're not too late. You're being called to awaken, called to align, and called to rise. You're being called to become the man heaven has been waiting for. May you have the courage to listen when God whispers to you. May you have the humility to surrender when he makes his call. And may you have the strength to rise into the man that you were designed to become. Your wife, she's waiting for this version of you. Your children are waiting for this version of you. Your community is waiting for this version of you. And God has been preparing you for this moment long before you ever knew it. You are not created to drift. You are not created to survive. You were created to rise, to lead, to love, to protect, to build, to become a sacred gentleman. I'll see you in the next episode.